Today I'm going to talk about how I survive on 20 euros a week for food, basically. Now I tried to do 15, but let's be real. It's doable, but there is a difference between, like, not spending the €5 extra and dealing with quite bland food, or spending that little extra to make things taste a little better. Usually it's just seasoning and stuff I buy, but all in all it doesn't really cost that much more. I'm going to give a few tips on how to make it your money last when it comes to groceries. I'm not going to go ahead and give any specific numbers or meals at this moment in time. I still need to do a bit more planning for something like that, but I do want to do a video where I go into depth on my diet and how it allows me to stay reasonably cheap per person. Buying off-brand or store-brand goods is always a good start. Usually they're cheaper than branded goods, and sure, they may not be as nice, but sometimes you might be surprised. I myself love Nutella chocolate spread. It's not the healthiest of things, but I love it. And then I recently tried the Albert Heijn's chocolate spread and thought, actually this tastes almost exactly the same. Maybe a little less sweet. And actually I kind of like that. It's a fraction of the price. And then I went to my local store near me, which is quite convenient. It's cheaper than the Albert Heijn, so I thought, I'll give that a go. And that chocolate spread actually tasted better than the Albert Heijn stuff. It's all really about researching and trying out things and finding what works best for you. In the end, buying off-brand stuff doesn't have to taste horrible, and other different stores will have better or worse off-brand, store-brand products, and you just gotta kind of pick and choose and try out and see which ones you like best. That's what I found works best for me. Another thing is buying tinned and canned food, like, beans and stuff like that, instead of like dried. You can also get dried products, which can be cheaper, but these are usually meaning that the vegetables and or beans are usually not perfectly fresh. You can buy tinned and canned food, which usually is a lot cheaper than the fresh food. I mean things like baked beans or brown beans. Usually I focus around beans because that's the main form that I buy in tinned. You can also technically get tinned like vegetables and stuff like that, which could also work. But usually they're a lot cheaper because they're not as fresh, but they usually have the same nutritional value as fresh. Whole foods. What I mean by this is buying the raw ingredients and making the things yourself, like for pasta sauce. Instead of buying a €1.20 jar of pasta sauce, you could buy the raw ingredients, some tomatoes in a tin, some tomato puree, some herbs and spices, and make about 4 times the amount for the same price. And that is insane, that you could have 4 times as much for basically, for $1.20. That's what I did recently, and it worked really well for me. It did take a little tweaking, but I found a recipe that worked well for me that I created, and probably will share eventually once I get around to making that video. Hopefully I'm going to be doing a whole selection of videos all about food and healthy eating, so that'll come in the future. And generally with whole foods, it's a lot healthier because there's no added sugar or salt that has just been thrown in. You know what's in the food. It's generally a lot healthier as well as cheaper, I find. When it involves vegetables, it can be a little harder to keep it cheap because vegetables, especially fresh vegetables, can be a little on the pricey side. But if you're trying to keep your diet nice and nutritious, I definitely recommend making things from scratch. Bulk foods are a great way of bringing down the price of something over time. Now, it may cost you a bit at the time, but if you really think about it, paying that price then and using it throughout the time is actually more cost effective, because that's why I always look at per kilo of a price, not the actual price of the packet itself. And I always seem to find the bigger packets with more volume in them usually are cheaper and also less packaging, which is like a win-win for me. For example, I bought recently, like as in like last month, I bought a 4.5 kilo bag of rice, and that might last me 6 months, and it was like €5 to €6 for 6 months. Well, probably more like 4 because I have been eating a lot more recently, but that's a lot. And for one person, that's a lot. And for that price, that's amazing. Compared to the 1 kilo bag, which would have cost me like twice as much. Over time, sure, why not? I'll take it. It's rice, it can stay, it has a long shelf life, it works well for me. So buying the bigger packages usually can help keep your budget in check. Sure, again, as I said, you might be paying a lot all at once, but throughout that month or months, it really pays off. A very important thing I do a lot is researching different stores and what prices their products are at. I recently got a very cheap A6 notebook, and it already kind of fell apart. I glued it back on, but I started writing in it all of the products that I normally use when cooking. And I started with the Albert Heijn. Their online store makes it really easy for me to write down the prices of the items that I use. And over time, I'll be going to the different stores like Aldi and Lidl and my local store and seeing what I can get, what products I can get for cheaper. And I'll list down the prices of each so that I can evaluate which one is best for where. So when it does come to when I need buy my groceries during the week, like I usually buy my groceries on a Friday, when it comes to that day, I can plan out which stores I want to go to for that week. And sure, it's only pennies, or in this case cents, a few cents difference per item, but over time, over the months, but specifically, I find that it definitely shows. Like I'm saving several euro like a month, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but for me and my situation, it's a lot, and it's really helpful for me. This is definitely a mentality that minimalists have, and it can definitely apply to groceries. It's buy what you need, not what you want. Now, I don't follow this to the T because I do have chocolate spread, I do have things that I don't necessarily need, but do make my meals much more tasty. I am trying to slowly change my shopping list so that it's a little more healthy, but I do allow myself some snacks. I'm not completely like stopping myself from craving nice things. I do replace my chocolate spread with peanut butter sometimes, just because it is a healthier alternative. And yeah, there's not much to it really. It's like the best thing I could say for buying what you need, not what you want, is make a list. Do what I do. Evaluate what's in your house, and then write down a list of things that you need to restock. Another thing is, don't buy something until you've used up what you already got. Like if you have a tin of beans and you're about a quarter left, I say don't buy another tin of beans until you've completely finished it. And the same with every product. It's just buying before it's done can usually mean you start getting a repetitive diet, and you kind of want to keep your diet nice and diverse. So if you leave out beans for a week, it means you have to be more creative with your meals and try something new and stuff like that. It's generally just a nice idea. Have a budget and stick to it. That's one that I could wholesomely agree on. I have a budget of €20, you can have a budget of 15, you can have a budget of 35, it doesn't really matter what the budget is, as long as you write down that budget, research what you need, figure out what the prices of those things are before you go to the store, make sure, you know, it's in your budget, and double check if you need it or not, and then go and shop. And if something's on offer, then awesome. But don't buy something because it's on offer. Only, you know, if you find that, oh, I have tomato soup on my list this week, and it just so happens to buy one get one free. If you think you're going to eat that second tin, I'd still recommend getting that tin. I can absolutely agree upon these tips. They are very useful when budgeting for weekly groceries. I myself probably could cut it down to €15 a week, but there's little things in my diet that I just want to keep and can't seem to find to get rid of, but that's just me. I'm only human. Anyways, I hope that the information in this video was useful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comments below and I'll get to it as soon as I can or make a video about it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.